So my coping mechanisms, I made that post about how like, okay, here's my life experience. Here was the life lesson. Here's the tool. And I was like, oh my God, this fits for every love language. My tools that help me with my life, moving through my life, are quality time with myself, like being with myself, having time alone to like literally give myself exactly what I need. So if I am just like letting my unconscious brain lead my life, that's my strategy, is usually to be like, oh my gosh, like I just need to pause and take some time with myself and collect my thoughts. Maybe I journal, maybe I go on a run, whatever. Quality time. The other thing that I do is when I am really critical or I catch myself going back into that old way of thinking, I have all these systems. The one that you taught me of posting the reminders on our phone. And then the other one that I've been doing forever, which is writing letters to myself, future self, like in a higher state, which is words of affirmation. I mean, they're positive words from my higher self. And so I was like, oh my God. So if acts of service is your love language, and your coping mechanism should be do something for yourself. Like, what is something you love? Go do that for you. Like, is it a massage? Is it like getting your nails done? Like, go do that for yourself. Or do you really dread cleaning your house and you do it day in and day out? Spend the money and for a day, get a cleaner to come in and clean your house for you. Like, that's an act of service for you. And so that was just an aha moment. Maybe it's simpler than I thought, but I just was like, how is this helpful for other people too? Like, obviously, if you have the love language of words of affirmation and quality time, those tools that I posted may be helpful, but if they're not, how can you develop your own healthy coping mechanism? And I was like, duh, like that is your coping mechanism. What your love language is, what you're yearning for, which is the same idea of just like give yourself the love that you need. But those words don't always translate to tools in people's brain.
And if you like gifts, go to Target.
Yeah. If you like gifts, give some for yourself. Go get some new clothes. Go get some, I don't know, go buy yourself something that makes no sense or has no purpose other than making you happy.
The modern woman knows how powerful she is and creates her world with passion.
She's intentional about how she leads her life, who she supports, and who she brings around her.
She's not afraid to dream big. She defines success for herself and pursues what's on her heart.
Even when we don't have all the answers. Yeah, love languages, that is such an interesting thought. So I'm thinking about human design, obviously, and I think about, so in somebody's chart, there are the centers that are filled in, the energy that people have consistent access to, and then the centers that are white or clear, the centers that people are very heavily influenced by their environment and people around them. And when I think about things like self-love and needing to refill yourself or being off center, it's usually because the areas that are open have some sort of conditioning or something is impacting them. So when I think about kind of like fleshing that out or taking a nap figuratively and clearing those energies so that you come back to yourself, doing any one of those things in your love language ladder is one way to clear whatever is going on, whether you're in a different environment or you're in a funky headspace or whatever it is that clouded those different areas in you. That makes sense. I don't know. Love languages are weird. I like words too. I also like things like working out. The love language for myself. So I'm like, oh, which one does that fit into? Is that service?
Or
Or
is that a love language?
I just feel so good and like I'm shaking the energy out, literally. Yeah. But also I feel so much more clear after I've done that. So because there aren't a lot of times where I'm just qualitying it up by myself, and working out is one of those times.
Oh, maybe that's it. Yeah,
maybe
part of your quality time. Like it's Jacqueline time.
Like in my body, like I'm thinking about nothing else except what I'm doing. And it's just a really great way to get out of my head and into my body. So
Yeah.
really interesting, Bri, that you brought that up. I love that.
Yeah. I just thought like it would be a helpful tool because that's not something that comes easy to me. I move through life and I just do. I don't really experiment and I don't really justify. So when I had that moment, I was like, oh, maybe that'll be helpful. Like, because I just don't naturally think about why I do things that I do. I just kind of do them. And so oftentimes I'll get the comment of just like, that's great for you, but how can I apply those things? And so I was like, oh, that's how. Like, figure out your love language and then give yourself that like love.
Oh, I'm applauding you for that. Good job.
Cute. Yeah.
I see you because I realize that doesn't always come naturally, which is totally fine. But yeah, it's not something that comes naturally for you.
And I would love to have an answer, and I would love to also like be helpful for other people. But I also am just kind of focus on what helps me, and then I'm just really joyful. So I'm just like, hang out with me, and then I'll be happy. But I'm like, that's not practical. So yeah, so that's a tool, and I thought that was helpful. So yeah, so that was one thing that I've been thinking about too. The other thing, okay, I noticed in a couple of our past episodes we talk a lot about having high expectations, being a high performer. We're both manifesting generators, so we can do all the things, and we both talk about like doing less to become more. And so okay, I feel like we've already kind of been moving in this direction, but something that I decided to replace with expectation was standards. And let me explain. So I thought to myself, high expectations in the past have ultimately led to resentment because the focus is external. When we have high expectations for other people, it's based on outside performance. But when we have high standards, that leads to alignment because the focus is internal. We are now focusing on what our standard and our values are in our life, and then we move in the way that aligns with that. So I am no longer attracted to energies that aren't at the standard that I am living and moving through, which is why a lot of our relationships throughout our whole lives ebb and flow, because we are going through different experiences, we're growing, we're whatever, all the things. But I was like, that's a really good like switch. It's like having a high standard for my living is focused on me and my own values and the energy that I am willing to accept and bring into my life and then put out. Yep. Having high expectations is me not really having anything but hope that other people meet what I want them to meet, which is not a healthy way of living and moving through your life. And so I was excited to share that with you because I know that we both also talk about having like high expectations for ourselves and high expectations for our relationships and our careers and things that are in our life. And so I thought that was a cool just like switch. It's not like eliminating that expectation for ourselves or that like standard for ourselves, but it's like I think a little bit healthier of a way to move forward through life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good distinguishing factor. So one way that I have adjusted my expectations / standards for myself is expecting less out of each day, but making the things that do happen very impactful. So an example would be like the system that I've had to set up is like, okay, you have like my weekly things that I do, but I also have these daily things that I do to add up to the week, which also then add up to the month and the quarter, whatever. But daily, I'm like 3 big tasks and then the most important little tasks from there. And that is not just work, that's whole life. And like, it used to be 20 big tasks, like, oh, let's see if I can do all of them. And turns out didn't. Like, oh, and I would go to bed every night, like, oh, I didn't do this huge thing. I didn't create an online course and market it all in one day.
Right. It's all about that external like result.
Yeah. And so, but the standard is in each of those tasks, it's done very well. It's done to the best of my ability. Of course, things don't, things happen and you make it better every single time. It's all iterative, but just getting it done and like shipping it for the day, you're like, oh yes, done, check, feeling good.
Yeah, amazing. No, and I feel like that's aligned with a lot of different strategies too that are taught to recovering people pleasers and like setting boundaries and stuff. They're very aligned as well. Like, instead of having the expectation, then the focus is on the end result, and that then it's like, you're like disappointed, even if like 8 out of the 10 things that you were hoping for that day went great. But what you're talking about, what I'm hearing you say, is like now focusing on the 8 things. Like now it's like, no, look at all these 8 things that were great, and then shifting and adjusting, like, and adding those extra 2 things onto the next part of your day.
Yeah. And sometimes like I'll get like, did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this? I'm like, no, but let me see how I can get help with that. And sometimes those things, it helps me also clarify what I don't even need to do at all. Like, how can someone else do that? Or how can I figure out how to do it automatically or whatever? Because the energy of focusing on certain things and doing them really well is amazing. So much energy comes back. I know I was talking about being tired. I would say that's not related to all the tasks happening right now, because it's actually a season of doing less, but doing way better.
Amazing. I feel like that's the like scalability that you were kind of hoping for.
That's
Like,
exactly it.
Like
It's
being
happening.
like, yeah, like seeing more come to fruition without doing more.
Yeah. And it happened. You'll think this is interesting. You know that I really like researching things, learning things by reading and trying and reading some more. This came from not reading as much. Interesting. I did learn from a couple of people that I trust, but it wasn't like, let me see the best way to do this and survey all the people, all the creators out there. I was like, I'm going to try this one thing, try it and keep going. So it's the way, it feels very different. I thought you'd think that's interesting too.
That is interesting. It makes me think of like, which for us, I feel like we read like 5 books at a time and may never finish them.
I still do that.
Yeah. But I think that's just like how our brains work and how we're designed. But I think what maybe is helpful is like actually finishing that one book, like making the dedication to say like, okay, I know I can read all 5 at once, but I'm going to focus on this one and see if it's aligned. And if it's not, then okay.
Yeah.
And
well, it's interesting. I think you and I are both multi-passionate. And so all the books are on different topics, right? So part of it is I'm in a mood for something specific. And part of it is I only want to read this book when I'm feeling this way. Or like the books that I want to finish, I'm learning something. I'm learning a skill. The books I don't want to finish just don't resonate. I get a taste of it and I'm like, yeah, I could read the summary of that, and then I just don't finish it, and that's okay.
Yes. Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, I have to release those needs to finish. And I also really like this book summary app because of course I want to read all the books, and I get book recommendations every single day like you do as well.
Right.
And so I read summaries, and if they're really, really good, then I'll pick up the book. But usually I just read the summary.
Right. No, I'm totally with you on that. And I've always been that way. I remember my sister read the Harry Potters. I did not. I only watched.
I don't know if we can talk about this.
Okay, I know. And I know you're such a Harry Potter fan, so I was nervous to tell you this story, but hear me out. And you're gonna like,
I'm listening. I'm open-minded.
You're gonna think very differently of me. But my sister did read them. I don't know if she read them all, but I remember that she would read them. One thing that's incredibly annoying that I did as a kid was reflecting on it now. Very annoying. And sorry, Katie, if you're listening. But I would just read like the last 10 pages. So it was worse than reading just the summary. I would literally be like, okay, so I remember how the last one kind of ended, and I would go see the movie. And then I read like the next one and finished the ending and was like, oh, okay. So especially in the end, like in the 7th book, I was like, okay, really what happens? And I remember reading like Harry and Ginny get married. They have this many kids. This is what they name them. And I am pretty sure I remember not like spoiling the ending for Katie, because she was like, I'm reading this whole thing. But I also wouldn't surprise me if I did, because I was a little bit like that when I was a kid. So I don't remember. I would have to ask Katie, but it made me think of that. Like ever since I was a kid, like I would just read, or like in school, the only book I read was Charlotte's Web when I was a kid, like fully all the way through. And it was for iStep. And it was basically like, Bri, you have to read this entire book, because it asked like questions about every aspect of the book. Through high school, I spark noted everything, like, but it would consume, like it would sink in. Like I just was never someone who, and I'm trying to get better at that. Like I'm trying to get better at not doing that and really reading, because I think as I get older, I get more interested in more of the day-to-day details that are shared. So I think that's a difference too. I also was never into fantasy. I was more into like real, like I want to hear real life stories of people who are incredible and make me believe that I'm incredible and can do anything.
Right.
That shifted, so that also makes me more interested in those kind of books.
Interesting. Yeah, we were both very different kids.
Yeah.
We were different students.
Very.
So that doesn't
100%.
surprise me, because, and also in my family, Harry Potter was a bonding thing. Like it was this is your like rite of passage. The 3 of us siblings would read the book and go watch the movies together, even though we were kind of spread far apart. So I get it. It was kind of a culture thing, because I didn't read fantasy either. Unless it was assigned by like an English teacher. And I was around a lot of very smart people growing up. I mean, I'm still around very smart people, but the people that I had classes with were like very intelligent. They would read. You know, we would talk about it all the time, these books. They still have book clubs. So for me to like fit into that friend group, I had to be like reading and really understanding. So
yeah, because weren't you in like AP courses and stuff?
yes.
Yeah. You were brilliant.
But even still, I would do that same thing, just because, I don't know, being a student is like so much fun to me. If I could keep going to school, I would do that. I mean, I do. That's why I take all these courses that I tell you about.
Right. Yeah. I was like, you should. Wait, no, you do.
Yeah. I do. I designed my own master's program in 2020. But anyway, you actually got a master's. Mine was fake master's, but that's okay.
No, it's real. It's probably cooler that you created a master's program than me just like going through the motions and doing it. My master's program was really just an FU to the educators that told me. So like I'm not even really using it. I was just, it's a sense of pride to say that I can do anything.
That's so in line with your personality. I love that.
Totally. And I was going to say that about yours too. You're such an experimenter though. Like, so it is like the way that you always move through life is to like get your hands on it and like feel through it and then make a decision if it's like right or not for you. So it's like totally makes sense that like courses and just classes and constant education is your thing.
Always doing something. So yeah, reading, it's really funny about Harry Potter books. I just don't know. I really don't know how you did it, because I would be like, well, now I need to know all the other things, all the details. That's the Virgo in me. Like, what about all this? So that's funny. And I don't judge you at all, because now I would not read fiction books. I would just see the movies, go to the theme parks and be happy.
Well, and I'm also an observer. And I think I was one as a kid as well, because I didn't feel like I fit into any like traditional mold. Like I wasn't really good at school. I wasn't really good at sports. I was always constantly being like, okay, well, why is that important? How is that important? Do I have any of those skills? And so I would observe a lot too. So one thing that I observed related to the Harry Potter books was like everyone loved the books. And every time people who read the full book came back from the movie, was like, I hated the movie. And I get it. Like, I obviously am not making fun of you. Like, sorry for the tone of voice. I just like, they were. And so my observation was like, why would I start reading these books if I'm just going to be disappointed in the films? Because I think the films are fabulous.
I get it. Yeah.
But it was funny. I was visiting a friend in San Diego, and she's a diehard Potterhead, and she read all the books too. And we were talking about our houses, and she was like, she's a Slytherin. And
ooh, I like this energy.
yeah. And she was like, what do you know what you are? And I was like, oh yeah, I mean, I'm Gryffindor. And she was like, oh. And I was like, yeah, I know, but I don't really align with Ravenclaw or Hufflepuff, and I definitely don't align with Slytherin. And so she was like, okay, but when you tell people that, just tell people that you're a book Ginny Gryffindor. And I was like, okay. She was like, movie Ginny is not the same book Ginny. Book Ginny is like this warrior, incredible, like
she is
badass, amazing person. And Ginny in the movies is kind of like obsolete. Like, she's not, I mean, she's there, but she's not like this powerful force. It's kind of, the focus is more on Harry and Hermione. So I was like, okay, so now anytime I tell people that I'm a Gryffindor, I'm like, I'm a book Ginny Gryffindor.
That's a really good way to put it.
Yeah.
My family tells me that I am, well, I know that I'm a Ravenclaw for sure.
Yes.
But when it comes to the character, they call me Luna Lovegood.
Oh, okay. That's a compliment though. I love her.
Is it?
I mean, I really love
Funny.
Luna. I think she's her own self. Like, she's her own thing. She's a light. She's just a walking light. But I mean,
she's there are elements of Luna that I definitely embody, like the kind of rose colored floating through. And I mean, I feel like I have multiple personalities, but there is a personality that is Luna. So thank you, kids.
Yes. Yeah, that's fair. I could see it. And like, I don't know, you have the same like blonde, beautiful hair that she does. So I feel like that's another.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, my kids are Potterheads, which is so fun for me. And even when we went to Universal, the boys in our family were not interested, and they totally got into the wands and the whole thing. But I have a lot of like Slytherin Death Eater type energy in my family. So for me to be a Luna is like very opposite from everybody else.
Yes, but I feel that. I don't know. Maybe I just haven't seen the Slytherin part of Jacqueline, but I feel like, is Mira Slytherin? I feel like Mira Mira Slytherin. I feel like Rudy's Slytherin. Yeah.
Raven's a Hufflepuff, hardcore.
Okay, totally. I yes, totally felt that. Yep, 100%. I think Jordan and I talked about him being a Ravenclaw too, because they're like really clever, quick-witted.
Yep.
It's totally him. Usually social, extroverted. Yeah.
Super smart.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not like trying to brag on myself, but Jordan is super smart.
Yes, and so are you.
Right. But Aubrey definitely gives me Hermione vibes. She's a Gryffindor.
Yes.
Kind of the know-it-all, kind of annoying, but also thank you for being here at the right moment.
Yes. No, brilliant. She and I can be the Ginny Gryffindors.
Yes. Yeah. Although
they're very courageous and brave.
I don't know. Aubrey's kind of a scaredy cat, so maybe you can help her with that.
Oh yeah, I think her inner brave warrior woman is inside for sure.
Yeah. So I'm sure there's like books on the archetypes of Harry Potter and the houses. But if not, then we just did a podcast on it.
Yeah, we did. You should totally listen because you're welcome. Yeah.
That's funny. So yeah, thank you for breaking down Harry Potter with me. For not being a fan, you definitely did me a service.
Oh, I am a fan. No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Books. Got it.
Didn't read the books. I am a die-hard Harry Potter fan. I just didn't read the books.
Okay, then we're on the same.
Yeah. Oh my God. No, I take offense to not being a Harry Potter fan.
Oh, so sorry.
Sorry if you're listening, but like, get the fuck out if you don't want to talk about it. I'm just kidding. But I seriously, like, that's my safe place. Like, literally, even last night, I was just like, Jordan and I both were in the mood to watch a movie, and I always suggest Harry Potter. And I mean, most of the time he's okay with it, but I mean, we watch it a lot.
Yeah, we watch it in the like fall, winter time.
Yes. Yeah.
Imagine though, being J.K. Rowling. Now, I haven't studied her or her biography, or I don't know much about her as a person, but imagine being her and having united so many people with a set of characters.
Literally, we grew up with them. I loved it. When it was gone, I had to like grieve briefly, because it was just like, and I was so excited when Fantastic Beasts came out too, because I was just like, it's still happening. And now there's talk, I don't know if it's true or not, about the Cursed Child actually coming, like they might bring back Harry Potter, like the original, like Daniel Radcliffe and everyone who played the original Harry Potters, that they might do like a movie. I know it's a musical, but I don't know. None of this is fact checked, so don't quote me on it. But I would be so excited, because it was so cool for us to like grow up with it. But then like talking about, Aubrey and Mira and Dre, like it still is impacting so many kids today. And then also it was something that like Jordan, I remember him talking, his mom read him the books. So he was like, so to your point of it being like a family bonding thing, like for him, like so it was also impacting like his mom. So it's just really cool to see the impact. And I hope I have a sliver of an impact on this world like that.
A Slytherin of impact on this world. I'm just kidding. I know, I agree. Like imagine, and here I am putting myself in an author's shoes again. Obviously, I have like these like subconscious author vibes happening. But I'm like, imagine being that author and uniting so many people, like,
right?
Children's books.
Yeah. Yes. To all of that.
I remember, carrying the book around in my backpack, and I was the same age as like the Harry, Hermione, or crew growing up. And so it's funny now, Mira is at the age where she thinks boys are cute. And she's like, oh, Draco's so cute. And I'm like, what? Oh, okay. I don't even know who I liked back then, but it wasn't Draco.
Oh, I think I was into what's his name? The Keeper. Or
Cedric?
No.
Oh, I liked Cedric Diggory.
Yeah, I was not a fan of him for some reason, and I'm also a Taylor Lautner fan, so maybe that's why. But actually that came after Harry Potter. But no, what's his name? I think he's mainly in,
I know what you mean.
The first one.
Was pretty cute.
What's his name?
I can't remember. Sorry, obviously not a diehard fan. It's been a minute.
And I was like swooning. I was like,
it was
the guy who taught Harry how to be
Yep.
Yeah. Him. He was my like, wow, you're cute. But now I look back and I was like, okay. Like, I mean, I was young.
No, I get it. Now I look back and I'm like, Draco's dad?
Ooh, wait a minute, Jacqueline.
Obviously, my taste is not that. It's very dark skin, dark hair.
Some people are into like Voldemort. So
no.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's like a whole thing, I think, of like people I
mean, acceptance to everybody, but
totally. Like
that voice though is like still sends chills down my spine. The other night, Rudy's a cinephile and he's always watching something with Mira, especially. And they were watching something that sounded like the voice of Voldemort. And I turned around and I was like, no.
Like embedded into your soul to be like afraid.
Yeah, that's like if I have a bad dream, if it's not about Target, it's about that voice.
Yes. So good. Yep. That's so true. Well, not so good, but yeah, like he is so good at his character that that is still a part of my childhood experiences. And he's not something I look at and I'm like, he's something I listen and look at and I'm like, rah!
No, it's so terrifying. Anyway, so the movies and the stories and the books of Harry Potter obviously had a huge impact on us. And I remember when my siblings and I would go on like little vacations with our family, we would act like we were the Harry Potter characters and we would like put on the courage of Hermione and like do the things. And so I don't know. I just think stories, obviously those are, really impactful.
That's amazing. Yeah, no, I love that. And what a cool way to, again, to your point, just have a story become so much more.
I know. So anyway, super, I don't know how we got on that, but I'm really happy.
Yeah. Yay. Love Harry Potter.
Love me some HP. I was thinking today about like little things that I'm shifting, like little habits I'm shifting. And this is also something that is a theme of the full moon that I didn't realize until I started doing this. But I was like, I'm always talking about making little tweaks. And I was journaling about things that I'm adjusting or leaning more into or leaning further away from. And one of the things that I love is fashion. And I can't put my finger on why. I just really like it. I think part of it's the self-expression. It's just fun. It's interesting. It's a hobby. I don't know. But part of me is really sad that I don't have a lot of opportunities to wear cool clothes. And that's why I end up going to like Kroger in a skirt, right? I mean, I go to like these really mundane places in like dresses or clothes that you're like, why are you wearing that? And so I was thinking about it today and I was like, oh, I really love this dress. Oh, I don't have anywhere that I would really wear it to. So obviously I don't need it. I'll just keep wearing these like, leggings and blazer situations. But for me, it's important to be like lit up by my wardrobe. And so I was like, create places to wear these things outside of the grocery store.
Yeah, but also I was going to say how inspiring it is too that you do that. A lot of people will just let it stop at well, all I have to do is go to Kroger today, so I'm not going to wear that. But I love that you wear that cute skirt to Kroger because you should, like, your whole life is literally the main, like, you are the main character, so you should dress as such, and you do.
Oh, I do. I don't let the look stop me or the like, what are you wearing from the family? And I always thought it was something that was kind of dumb. And I was like, I don't really need to have this hobby because it really does nobody any good. Like really, it's just spends money. And it's kind of annoying that this is what I think about. So like, for example, Rudy asked me to go to brunch last weekend, which love. Went to Gallery, which is the place I took you.
Yes, I love that place.
Love that place. Oh, it's every time I go there, I'm like, this is the best brunch I've ever had since the last time I was here. But anyway, I love it. And he asked me to go and I was like, of course. And then the first thing I asked him, what's the attire?
Amazing.
He was like, whatever you tell me.
Like,
and so
like, okay, whatever. Show up in like a gown, like a Grammy award-winning gown.
It was a cool skirt that I had on. I will say that.
Amazing. And you have such a good sense of fashion too. So yeah,
but
I love the idea though of creating opportunities. Like you said, like that's also, I'm totally here for that. And I will full blown support you in that and try to come up with some creative ways for you to rock your wardrobe.
thanks. That is a good point. Instead of like letting it die, because gosh, letting that die would be like, oh, I light up when I see a well put together outfit. Why do I like fashion? It's annoying and it's expensive.
It's an art though. It's an
It
art.
is.
It really is. And like, it's, yeah, I mean, like you said, it's a self-expression. It's an art. It's not, I mean, I get the financial component, but that's what, I mean.
I try to be minimalistic. Like I shop way more than I buy. I love to look and I love to touch and try things on and imagine. And then I'm like, already bored of that. Next, without buying it ever.
Yeah.
And I love like thrifting. Oh, that's so fun.
Yeah. What was the program that you were doing? I don't know if you're still doing it. Yes. Brilliant. Like
I'm still on Poshmark.
That's a brilliant system that you created in order to like sell the clothes you no longer wear in order to have the like financial capacity to keep.
Oh, yeah. I forgot I told you about that. So last summer when we went to the Dominican, I sold a bunch of my clothes that I no longer was interested in or didn't wear for whatever reason and used that money on Poshmark to buy new clothes they were new to me. on Poshmark for like that vacation. And
Yes.
when I think about the best feeling of being enclosed ever, it was on that trip.
Yeah. And you were glowing. Because I
Oh,
also feel like one of the things too with fashion is it literally almost brings in all the goodness from inside of us out. Because
right.
also, and there's a lot of studies that prove that too, of how we feel, like how we feel when we show up. So when we look in the mirror, if what you love is your neon pink like pantsuit, work it. Like
Right.
even if you're just going to your kitchen that day, like I'm here for that.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. 100%. I would like to find that study. I'm sure that you will at some point.
Yes. I'm always on the brain. How does this impact my brain?
Mm-hmm. I remember when the world went to remote work. I had already been working remotely, but I was no longer doing in-person meetings for a minute, as nobody else was either. And I remember my colleagues kind of teasing me, and they're like, I bet you're wearing like slacks, aren't you, Jacqueline? And you're at home and not going anywhere. Like, yeah, I am.
But they're stretchy slacks that are comfy.
It was
No.
like high-waisted slacks on Zoom. No one saw them. It was just
Yeah.
me and my family. And they're like, why are you wearing slacks? And I still do it, but it's just like the putting on of work, like I don't know. It's a feeling,
It's
it's a vibe,
energy.
and it's energy. It's scientifically proven. I will find the study.
Yes.
But it works. And
Yes.
yeah, it works.
And that's also why, there's a lot of studies now about how the best work that we do is when we feel the best. So
Yeah.
for some people, like for me, I love fashion too. I love very like bright colors and unique designs. And honestly, if money was no object, I would have a whole wardrobe of like really funky shit. And I'm working on it actually.
Yeah, you are.
Especially
You're doing a great
being in
job.
California. I'm like, Jordan, we have to go to a Target in California. And he's like, why? And I was like, it's different because there's not going to be like Indiana overalls. It's like going to be this like really cool, trendy stuff. And it was a game changer. It's literally a dream. And so my goal is to go to like all the California Targets, but I love that too. But then sometimes I want to be in like this oversized black sweatshirt that's like 3XL and I just feel like cozy. And so I think it's also important to just like, show up in the way that makes you feel best, because that's then going to result in your best work.
Totally. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. So I'm definitely open to any other fashion or buying and thrifting responsibly tips or hacks, because it is really a hobby of mine. And I love the things that you're buying. I'm seeing you, go to California, go to Target.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that
Okay,
too.
good.
You
Okay.
take me to Florida and we'll go to Harry Potter World, and I'll take you to all the Targets in California.
Okay. Do you only get the better end?
Done.
Love it. Thank you for hanging out with Bri and I on The Modern Woman Show, where we are becoming our truest selves. What did you love about this episode? We'd really, really appreciate if you shared with someone in your life. And let's connect on Instagram at The Modern Woman Show.